as soon as you let me in. I've been there too. If I'm just not good enough, when you see me for who I am, what if I'm just not good enough? Is it worth the chance? Don't let nothing separate you from the love of God. I know you good enough to know you're good enough. Jesus died on the cross, that was good enough. If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that he raised from the dead, then that's good enough. We all have to deal with temptations. Ain't a soul on earth above that. But we're forgiven because he is risen, and it's good enough. Thank you, Lord. I failed so many times, I'm afraid to fail again. What if I let you down, as soon as you let me in? If I'm just not good enough, when you see me for who I am, what if I'm just not good enough? Is it worth the chance? There's beauty in your flaws. What's the value of a Mona Lisa if you can't hang it up and put it on the wall? Display your art for the world to see. Let them criticize openly. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but a word from God will make you strong. If you strong, that means you are weak. Christ to the rescue in the time of need. His strength made perfect, good enough for me. I know you good enough to know you're good enough. Jesus died on the cross, that was good enough. If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that he raised from the dead, then that's good enough. We all have to deal with temptations. Ain't a soul on earth above that. But we're forgiven because he is risen, and it's good enough. I failed so many times, I'm afraid to fail again. What if I let you down, as soon as you let me in? If I'm just not good enough, when you see me for who I am, what if I'm just not good enough? Is it worth the chance? When I wanna do good, evil is always present. When I wanna do bad, can't seem to learn my lesson. So I've been in his word lately, trying to solve this mystery. Paul said, remove this thorn. God said, son, my grace is all you need. It's in Corinthians. You may want to read that before you sin again. Took some L's, born again, so I win again. Second letter, chapter 12, go from 1 to 10. Meet me back at Romans 7 if you struggling. You struggling, I ain't trying to judge a friend. The more I learn, I don't understand how it's nothing good in me, but his spirit lives in me, and he said it's good enough. Enough said. I know you good enough to know you're good enough. Jesus died on the cross, that was good enough. If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that he raised from the dead, then that's good enough. We all have to deal with temptations. Ain't a soul on earth above that. But we're forgiven because he is risen, and it's good enough. I failed so many times.
Yo, what's
I'm
up,
afraid
guys?
to fail again.
I'm your host, JWil, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, the podcast where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. What up, man? Summer nights, day after the holiday. Hopefully y'all feeling good. Hopefully everybody had a safe holiday out there. Got a great show on deck tonight. How the devil won their heart. So we're going to be talking about, like, look, the fact right now in the world, it's a lot of craziness going on, a lot of debating, right? A lot of laws, politics. I mean, people are like revved up about every single thing. So today I'm going to break down to you like logic and reasoning behind how the devil is actually finding his way into the church and winning over the hearts of Christians. I mean, when you think about it, the world is the world, right? The world is already, I mean, you know what it is, right? If you're not, in the faith, then you in the world. So at the end of the day, though, what I'm seeing is that a lot of Christians are actually being won over by the devil. So we're going to look at a little bit of scripture, right? We're going to check out some scripture and see, like, how did the devil operate in scripture? How did he do it? Because he's real crafty. He real smooth. The devil is real smooth with it. You know what I'm saying? You got to give credit where credit is due. He's real smooth with it. And sometimes I believe that there are a lot of Christians right now who are living life on the surface, and we're letting memes, be our doctrine and things like that. And we're allowing ourselves to get caught up in the ways of the world without even realizing it. And that's actually the crazy part, is that it happens without you even realizing it. You just wake up and you're like, yo, how did I get here? What's going on? So we're going to break all of that down today. But first, you know what I'm saying? I want to make sure y'all had a good holiday. I could tell y'all I had a good time. One thing that I was noticing, though, and y'all let me know if this was happening everywhere, if this is just me in Michigan, you know, Metro Detroit area. Dude, it seemed like people, first of all, they step in their firework game all the way up. Like I'm seeing like city level fireworks from regular everyday people. And then it seemed like they starting earlier and they going later. So my thing is like, you got to pick one, bro. Some people still got to go to work tomorrow. You can't start lighting fireworks at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. and then go into 1 a.m. You know what I'm saying? You got to make up your mind. So I'm seeing a lot of lengthy firework activity. So let me tell you this. First of all, I was with my brother Darius. This was Sunday night. I'm with Darius. He like, man, ride down to the city with me. He take me to the, the hood spots it was jumping too. It was Sunday night. It was jumping the gas station. Darius take me down here. He like, yo, we about to buy. Darius had the fireworks that I don't think he was supposed to have. I'm gonna just be real with you. There was a point when he was lighting these things that it actually crossed my mind that I think my brother's about to go to jail. Like I actually think he's about to get locked up. But he take me down here, right? Me and Darius, Jen, you say the gas station. Yes, Jen. Let me break it to you. The gas station. The gas station was jumping. It was pretty much like the club at the gas station, if I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you. But here, that ain't the crazy part, right? So as we're driving on the freeway, I kid you not, I'm not lying. We driving into the city on the freeway, and like right when we hit, like, where was we at? We on 94 in Detroit, east side. A firework. I'm not lying. I can't make this up. The fireworks was going in the air, right? They going up. And one comes directly on the freeway in front of our car. So I'm like, yo, I'm rolling the window up super quick. So Darius is clowning me because I'm rolling the window up. Jen says the fact that we went to the gas station for fireworks is crazy enough for her. Look, I'm not mad at you, Jen. It's like that in the hood. The gas station was junk. It was banging. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some people was buying fireworks, some people was buying gas. It was people that was just there. And I couldn't figure out why they was just there. Hanging out in the Jeep. It was like, I don't know. The gas station is like the beach. But anyway, this firework goes onto the freeway. And that's when I looked at my brother Darius and said, where are we, bro? Why you bring me back? Why you bring me back to where we grew up right now? So anyway, we went back. We had a good time, man. He lit all the illegal fireworks. It wasn't really illegal, Facebook. Don't, YouTube, whatever. I got to be careful with these videos. I'm used to doing audios. Audios, you can kind of get away with a little bit of stuff. So the fireworks weren't really illegal. But yet it did cross my mind that maybe my brother might go to prison tonight. But we made it out good. Even the neighbors, you know what I'm saying? They clapped their hand. They gave him a standing ovation, and he didn't blast off his fingers or anything like that. So we had a good time. Jen, you say I made it sound, listen, yeah, fun. If that's a way to look at it, but I would definitely, if you ain't from that hood, I would definitely say you might want to go with someone that's from the area. That's all I say there. But no, we had a good time. So look, firework on the freeway. I made it out alive. We had barbecue, movie night. We did a little bit of everything. Yesterday, went and chilled with some friends. I'm not gonna say, I don't want to say who, because if you weren't invited, you know what I'm saying? If you were there, you saw me there. If you weren't invited, I don't want to be the person to throw people out there. So went with some friends, then went with my in-laws. We had a good time. You know what I'm saying? Family, fun, holiday. And here we are today, right? In the world, this is the crazy thing about the world today. Because we have social media and all this access and stuff, we can never escape the news cycle. It's always something to be mad about. Oh, I got to share this though, right? Now, again, today we're going to talk about some things, it might get a little, I don't know, like my goal today isn't to focus on like the specific politics or the specific things that people are arguing and debating about. But my goal is, because I don't want to lead the witness. You know what I mean? I'm not here to lead the witness, but I do want to give you some information and equip you with ways to protect yourself from what I see happening in and around the church today, and how the devil is winning over people's hearts through a couple of key tactics that if you understand them, you could break them down and you could protect yourself. But if you don't, then you really are kind of like you could become a victim of this. You know what I mean? And so you can be won over into evilness. Like one of the tricks of the devil is that he turns evil things into sympathetic, beautiful things. And I know that sounds crazy on the surface, but the devil has been the devil longer than you've been you. And that's one thing I always tell myself is like the devil had an opportunity to study everybody in my bloodline. So he can actually look at the things that make me weak. Because again, genetics, right? Like maybe my great grandfather had a struggle that my father had, and the devil was like, "Ooh, I know how to get them in their bloodline every time." And I think what happens is that we're walking around living life like the devil just became the devil. The devil ain't a baby. Like he's not a baby. He didn't just start his job. You ever had a job and like at first it was hard, it was tough. Then you do the job again and again, again and again. Over time, you could do the job with your eyes closed. The devil can devil with his eyes closed at this point. And the problem is that so many of us don't recognize him that way, that I guess we don't think the devil is real. We don't think temptation and evil is real and subtle craftiness. And we just think that, yo, I'm me. Hey, I'm living life. I can handle anything. I'm right about everything. Everybody thinks they're right about stuff these days. But we're going to break some of that down. I'm going to share one last story, and then I'm going to jump into this content. So it was maybe Sunday morning. I don't know what day it was now. I'm mixing up my days. You have an extended weekend, and it gets real confusing what day it is. So I go to the smoothie shop. You know what I mean? Just me. I'm just getting a smoothie. Anybody, if you ever encounter me in life, I'm pretty social. Well, at times. I'm social in one-on-one interactions. So, or not necessarily one-on-one. It could be two of us, whatever. When I go to public places, if you are a worker dealing with me, I tend to be a talkative, like, yo, ask you how you doing, what's going on. I try to be a nice person. You get what I'm saying? So the girl who's making the smoothie, it was early in the morning. So really it was just me, her, and whoever was in the back. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? This was before the holiday. How you doing? What's up? How are you enjoying your day? She's like, I'm not that good. This is a young girl at that. And so just a very interesting conversation where at first it started off happy and she was like, oh, how are you? And blah, blah, blah. And then that's what it was. I asked her what she was doing for the holiday and she got down and out. Like she got serious. Like, I'm not feeling patriotic right now. Like, she started talking about the Roe v. Wade thing. Now, here is the thing. Listen, yes, from the gas station to the smoothie shop. The thing is, Jen, people out there, I'm everywhere, baby. That's the thing. I'm everywhere. Like that's what it come down to. But she starts saying she was down and out. She starts talking about the Roe v. Wade decision and saying she doesn't feel patriotic. Now, again, I was like, hey, I hope you feel better. Again, if you encounter me, I'm not the kind of person that just tries to come at people with my points of views or opinion without relationship or some type of dialogue. So I left it at that. I didn't try to like dig or anything, but I found it interesting on a couple of levels. I was looking like, yo, she's really like engulfed into this whole thing, right? And that made me think like, man, the enemy is really crafty at how he reaches us. And also the other thing that was interesting about that is that when I go out in public and I interact with people, especially when they're at work, like people are very open with their political views, but only when it seems like they're sharing like some common narrative that's being pushed out in the world. So every issue has like a common narrative that's pushed out. That's just marketing. You understand all these politicians, they have marketers and people writing their speeches and leading their campaigns. That's just business. That's how it works. So there's messaging behind the politics and the things out there today. I know a lot of us want to believe that it's just all about the issue, but really it's about the messaging and what they're trying to accomplish. So today we're going to talk about some things, right? Because I see the devil winning people's heart over with the surface level issues. And the reason I'm saying this way is like, it's not just the Roe v. Wade. It's a lot of things, regardless of what side of the argument you stand on. My goal is to equip you with some information today, some tactics to understand how to protect yourself and really even challenge yourself about like, what do I genuinely believe? And am I allowing the devil to win over my heart? And let's jump into it, right? Because I think when I jump into this, you're going to be able to hopefully understand and rock with the content today. So, how the devil won their hearts. Um, let's first start with the Bible, man. This is really where it all starts, right? Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. I'm gonna rock this real quick. This is the English Standard Version. It says, "Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman," listen to this, you gotta like really see how he rocks. "Did God actually say, 'You shall not eat of any tree in the garden'?" This is what I need y'all to understand. The devil is so crafty. Notice his first question on the surface. It sounds like a simple question. It sounds like he's just asking, "Oh, I just really want to know, did God really say that you don't want to eat off of any tree in the garden?" That's how the devil operates. The devil doesn't operate and come at you and just knocking stuff down and, all loud or whatever thing. The devil comes to you as like a caring confidant that really wants you to be at your best. Like he really sounds like he wants the best for you. But there's a lot of craftiness to what he did. And I really want you to pay attention. He said, "Did God actually say you shall not eat of any tree in the garden?" So what the first thing that would imply is that he doesn't actually know what God said. And see, this is how deceptive the enemy is. He will ask you a question that he knows the answer to, but he's trying to change your perception of the answer. I know it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? But let's rock with this. Verse 2. "And the woman said to the serpent, 'We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, you shall not eat of the tree of the fruit that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.'" Now, here's what I found interesting. The devil asked Eve a question that both of them already knew the answer to. This is where it gets crazy. This is where it gets really crazy to me. He asked a question, and the goal of this is, I believe, what up, Irene? How you doing? I believe that we are not critically thinking through things. And part of the reason why the devil is winning over our hearts is speed. Life is coming at us so fast. There are so many news stories in the cycle every day. It's like they just got bullets in the chamber and they letting them loose with a semi-automatic weapon. Maybe that wasn't the best example. But my point is the stories and the topics come at us hot and heavy. Every day that we wake up, there are new stories strategically chosen. This is not like anybody who rocks with me. You've been listening to the podcast. We got over 170 episodes, 180 episodes of audio on Apple Podcasts. I actually think it's a great time to tell you should go and listen to the podcast, Inspire God's People. But we have over 180 episodes. We don't mess with conspiracies. We don't jump to conclusions, but I do believe in critically thinking through things. So I like to take my time, step back, slow it down. I tell people all the time, every news story in the cycle each day is not my problem. Number one, I'm not God. Number two, mentally, physically, emotionally, I actually cannot carry that burden. I actually can't handle to know everything. Like, do you know if something happens right now in New Zealand, if something crazy happens, it might pop up on my phone because Apple decided to alert me through the news on the iPhone? I can't handle that. There are times that I'm getting news from Oklahoma or Chicago. It's like, yo, I'm in Michigan. The local news is more than enough for me. I can barely handle that. So what am I saying? Some of us are getting caught up in the speed of things. Things are coming at us so fast that we're not taking the time to step back and critically think and reason logically through these things. So what's happening is one of the ways the devil is winning over our hearts is keeping us at the surface. He's not allowing us to dig deeper and to critically think and reason through the issues and the topics that are coming at us. So what's being sold to us is one-liners and marketing campaigns and memes. And these things can be very convincing because the devil is very strategic. He asks you questions that he already knows the answer to, that you already know the answer to, but he has a really unique goal in asking that question to change your mind or at least imply something different. It's actually kind of crazy how he does it. Let's get back into it. So when you go to verse 3, but God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it lest you die. Verse 4, but the serpent said to the woman, see, I want y'all to understand something. When you're dealing with the devil, there's always a but. And there's always something that he's trying to convince you of through illogical and invalid reasoning to change your mind. Everything starts in your mind. That's why the Bible says in Romans, be ye transformed. How? What? By the renewing of your mind. Some of us, again, I might be guilty too. I'm not pointing a finger at you. I'm just talking about the world and how we are moving through the world today. We are allowing our minds to be corrupted with so much false information, so much emotional. See, if you only deal with an issue on the surface, you may actually believe something different than you truly believe. In this situation that we're breaking down right now, the serpent was living on the surface with Eve and trying to convince her by asking her questions, presenting himself as someone who cared. Like, yo, let's just get back into it. Let's get back into it. What up, Liz? Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Thank you for sharing that scripture. You know what? I encourage y'all to share scriptures. I love that. As we're thinking through scripture and talking through these things, we should be reminded of other scriptures, right? Out of our heart flows the issues of life. That's a great scripture because the devil is winning over our hearts. And what we're doing, Liz, thank you for bringing that up. We're actually allowing our hearts to be the gospel. So we're almost worshiping ourselves because what we're saying is that what I feel in my heart is actually more important and more the truth than what the Bible says. So if the devil wins over my heart, meaning he presents a topic or issue to me on the surface, he has to keep you on the surface because if you logically reason through it, he knows you will get to the truth. But just like Eve, if he can keep you on the surface, he could change your mind and win over your heart. All right, let's rock with this. Where we at? Verse 4. But the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die. Notice how if you go back, let's see, verse 3. Verse 3, it says, neither shall you touch it lest you die. This is Eve talking. But then the enemy jumps in and says, you will not surely die. I need you to understand something. The word surely seems subtle. If you blink, you might not even notice that it's there. So God said, if you touch this, you would die. The enemy comes back and says, but you won't surely die. And what ends up happening is, in order to deceive us and win over our hearts, the devil slides in little words, little wrinkles, little nuances that are actually invalid reasoning because they don't support the premise, right? The conclusion should support the premise. Whenever there's a premise being presented to you, the conclusion that you arrive to should actually support the premise, not contradict the premise, because the enemy was not telling Eve that God didn't talk to you. The enemy didn't go to Eve and say that God isn't real. Notice that the serpent never said God isn't real, never challenged the validity of the conversation that Eve had with God. But what he tried to do was change what God said by adding a new word, saying you will not surely die. Jackie, what's up? Little technicalities. Do you feel me though? And that's how the enemy operates. So let's go to verse 5. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. Verse 6. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. I want you to understand something about the enemy. The enemy is not just coming to change your mind and to get you to be out of pocket and to draw you away from what God has called you to. He wants to draw away the people that are close to you as well. Your husband, your wife, your children. The enemy doesn't just want to change your mind. He wants to use you as an influencer to change someone else's mind. And I think we see this happening across the world every day today because people are being influenced by the enemy and they're using that influence to go out and change people's mind with surface level arguments that really don't stand up against the fire of any type of real objection or any type of real interaction or dialogue. It's really just, hey, if I create a meme that says something that touches your heart, you will take this meme as the truth without ever even testing it with the fire. The Bible says, try the spirit by the spirit. There are things that we should be doing. There are things that we should be testing. We should be searching the scriptures. We should be studying to what is it? Reprove. I can't even think of, I'm sorry. Like my mind just scattered on that. Judge me later. Okay. Let's jump back into this. So here's what we have going on. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about fallacies, okay? And again, now we're about to jump into some of the tactics that the enemy uses, and I genuinely believe that the number one goal, I ain't gonna say number one, that's an exaggeration, but one of the key goals and tactics of the enemy is to actually just twist and change the argument with these subtle, invalid reasonings in order to change your mind. And he does it in ways that, again, you will not surely die. He adds a word. He takes away a word. He puts music behind the commercial. Let me tell y'all something. You can take a dog eating a biscuit and put it behind some violins playing and make a commercial telling us how we should also eat dog biscuits. And I'm telling you, I might shed a tear. You have to understand your own emotions, man. The enemy uses your own emotions against you. You are emotional, but you should have emotional intelligence. You should also understand logic. You should also understand reasoning. You should also understand, and again, this is when we talk about the Bible. The Bible is not just something we should just read and toss around and treat it like it's a horoscope or a fortune cookie. This is the word of God. This is something that we should be studying and looking at and also understanding the context of the things that are being said in it. There's no book in the world that you just open up to any page and read it without understanding the context and run with it. But we do that with the Bible. We close our eyes, open it up. Oh my God, Psalms 118. There we go. We read that. And then we never actually find out, well, what's being said, who's saying it, why are they saying it? What's the context, the timing, all of these things in order to be able to properly apply it to our lives. And that's what we're talking about today. What we got? Liz, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Thank you so much for sharing that. Rightly dividing. Let me just say this, right? Thank you for sharing that, Liz. Rightly dividing the word of truth. Listen, y'all, I know we just want memes. We don't want to take any time to step back and think through anything. You probably don't have time for this right now. People probably like, I don't have time for this, Jermaine. Could you put this in a 15-second Instagram reel so I can digest it? No, I want to challenge you to actually take a step back because we should be rightly dividing the word of truth. And unfortunately, in order to rightly divide the word of truth, it's going to take more than a 30-second reel. It's going to take more than a TikTok video of somebody crying, singing, dancing, or a baby eating pudding. You have to rightly divide the word of truth. That means it's going to take some effort. That means it's going to take some time. But if you really care about the truth, if you really care about the issues that are in the world, and one of the reasons I'm creating this video and this content is because there are a lot of serious issues happening. And the problem is that if we don't learn how to critically reason through these situations, the devil will continue to win over people's heart because all he got to do is give you an opportunity. Most people, a lot of influencers out here, I understand it. There are people that's like, yo, I'm trying to get an endorsement or I'm getting my followers. I've watched this through the years. I will watch a major Christian influencer, pastor, rapper, artist, singer, whatever it is. They will skate away from the serious issues in the church in a minute, but let there be something that the world puts their stamp of approval on, and they will be at the front lines acting like they're the most brave person in the world, speaking up and speaking loud and speaking proud. If you are a believer, man, if you believe and love the word of God, I don't understand how we could say that God gives us these platforms and we never use them to give him glory. Look, I don't care what you ate for breakfast today. Look, we make videos about everything. Congratulations. 20,000 people want to see you eat an apple today. But if you have that kind of platform and you call this ministry and you call yourself a believer, you should be brave enough to rightly divide the word of truth. And if you're rightly dividing it, yeah, some people won't like it, but you're not doing it out of hate. So many times what happens is the devil paints an image of Christians, Christianity, believers. He paints this image and we sit back and allow it because we don't say nothing because we have not challenged ourselves to rightly divide it. When you rightly divide something, it's much harder for people to take it and try to spin it for what they want to do it for. That's just my 2 cents on that. All right, let's keep it rocking. So let's look at what a fallacy is. And this is part of what I believe the enemy is using to get us. A fallacy is a mistaken belief, especially one based on unsound argument. Then it also says a failure in reasoning which renders an argument invalid. Faulty reasoning, misleading, or unsound argument. So let's really take a step to think about this. I believe that one of the ways that the devil is winning over people's hearts is fallacies. I believe that the devil is creating invalid arguments and reasoning. He is taking a topic that you care about. He's taking something real and he's spinning it. And I'm going to give you one example of how people spin things. Whenever you see data and statistics are very, very deceptive because people can take statistics and make them mean whatever they want them to mean. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say if there were 10 people and all 10 of these people drunk this juice that was making them sick. And all 10 of those people also, chewed a pack of bubble gum. But the pack of bubble gum only made 6 of them sick. It didn't make all 10 of them sick. But here's the nuance. So what the data would say is that the juice made 100% of the subject sick, but the gum only made 60% of the subject sick. So you would say that the juice is more dangerous than the gum. But here's how you could flip that. Let's say that whatever the juice did to them, even though the symptoms are exactly the same, let's say we came up with a rule where we all agreed we're not calling that sick. Whatever the juice did to you, juice doesn't count as sick. So we could say, we can come out with a commercial and we can say the leading cause of sickness, it makes 60% of people sick, is this bubble gum because we want to get this gum off the market. But what we've done is we've padded the evidence in order to have a technicality where we don't call the juice what it actually is, right? That happens, believe it or not. And I know, like, one of the things is abortion is a very tough topic for people to think through and talk about. I'm not going to go too far down the road, but I do want to just share like some factual statistics. This is fact, right? When it comes to abortion, as an example, you will read about the number one cause of death in the African-American community, and it will be health related. They will say that the number one cause of death in the African-American community is hypertension and high blood pressure, right? And high blood pressure and hypertension kills a lot of people. So that is true. But here's where it's tricky. I think starting back in like 2013, I think New York was the first state in 2013. Don't mark me on that, but I advise you to go look up the numbers for yourself, where for the first time in the Black community, there were more babies aborted than born in New York. Now, what I can tell you about abortion that's tricky is way more babies are aborted than people who die from hypertension. But abortion isn't counted in the death statistics. So if you don't count something in a statistic, you can change the data to make it seem like something else. Now, again, I'm not here to argue with you about the nuances or however you feel about an abortion. I'm only giving you factual evidence of the fact that there are more babies in some states aborted than born. Now, just speaking as a Black man, this is just, again, simple math in the way that I look at things. I look at it and I say, man, this is interesting. As Black people, we are minorities. Now, the Hispanic race is really going to be the majority, I think, in the next 10 to 15 years. Don't quote me on that, but there's data that supports the fact that they are a growing population. Cool, great. the African American community, we have such a small voice and we are the minority. At the same time, we abort more of our babies than we allow to be born. So just off simple math, again, I'm not trying to debate or anything about your feelings about abortion. I'm just breaking down some simple math. If we allow more of the babies to be born, then we might be the majority, which a lot of the things I see us complaining about is like, we complain about not having a voice or wanting other people to give us a voice. I'm like, man, there might have been another way to solve this issue. Let's just give birth to more people than the rest of the races or nationalities, which I'm not saying this in a literal sense, like, yo, let's do that and then go against everybody. That's not the point. But what I'm saying is when I look at it, now here's the last part I want to add. Also want to add that when you really look at the fact that what was her name, Margaret Sanger, who started Planned Parenthood, again, this is just fact, I'm not getting into any like debates or something. There was, what was it called, the Negro Project, I believe it was called, the Negro or the Black Project. The entire goal for Planned Parenthood in the beginning, and everybody knows this now, it was to eliminate the Black race. It was literally to do that. That's not a conspiracy or anything. That's just the truth. Well, they've changed the messaging. Again, it gets really tricky with this stuff because if you change the messaging on things, you can win over the hearts of people by simply changing the messaging when the results and the outcome are exactly the same. But so what's intriguing to me is that something that was started and pushed to Black people to eliminate that like, again, this isn't me. This is if you just read the actual, like, the origin of it, it actually is successful. And we are now like aborting more than we are birthing. But if these nuances of like, if it's not a baby, then it's not a murder. If it's not, but it could have been a life. But so if it's born, it is a life. And then you understand how tricky this stuff gets. The reason I'm bringing up something so dynamic as abortion, again, not to make you mad, not to get people up in arms, is to simply say when we have something so layered, we really have to think through it. And as much as we want to make everything black and white for the sake of a Facebook post or Instagram post or a meme, because we want, we post these memes in a matter of fact way. And that's one of the things that's really interesting to me about the way we communicate these days, is that we communicate in like matter of fact, black and white ways about very complex issues that at times we haven't even given the proper time or effort to actually study. And so for me, just thinking through logic and reasoning, I'm like, how can we come to conclusions if we don't even understand the premise and we haven't even broken down the premise to understand, like, what are we calling what and why are we calling that? And then asking ourselves, well, what do I truly believe? You get what I'm saying? If you keep people at the surface, you can win over their hearts with messaging and music and getting your favorite celebrity to have a commercial. And I'm not saying those things are all bad, but what I'm saying is that, I'm the kind of person where if you want to convince me of something, I ask questions. If you want to sell me something, I ask questions. I want to know, like, well, why are you saying I need that? Like, and if we live on the surface, the enemy will continue to win over our hearts. And we haven't critically thought through. Now, if you critically think through everything and properly research the data and you still land at the conclusion that you feel, then I'm not mad at that. That's the other thing, is that I believe when we grow through our critical thinking and reasoning, that we also are able to disagree with people without, being angry at them. A disagreement should not always equal anger. It just means that me and you read the same book, we looked at the same data, and we feel differently about it. And I think that's okay. But part of what's being pushed in the world today through invalid reasoning is this idea that you can't have an opinion that's different than mine. Listen, I'm telling you right now, if you're watching this and you feel different than me, like, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus Christ. If you don't, that's fine. I could still talk to you at a smoothie shop. I could still go to the movie with you and ask you how you're doing today. I could still shake your hand and do a business deal with you. I don't have to project out of my emotions the way I feel onto you, but I am open to a logical, critical thinking and reasoning to have a discussion with you where I believe strongly in the data, in the research, and the reasons I believe what I believe in a way that I can share them with you, not in a forceful way, but just share them and allow you to critically reason. But the devil doesn't want you to critically reason, because if you critically reason, he might lose your heart. See, if he could just keep it on the heart and stop you from actually thinking beyond the surface, then he can win you over. All right, so that's fallacies. What's next? What we got on board next? So here's a couple of things about fallacies, right? Fallacies are errors or tricks of reasoning. Now, when it's an error, it's accidental. When it's a trick, it's if a speaker or writer uses it in order to deceive or manipulate his audience. This is very important to understand. Fallacies can be an error of reasoning or a trick of reasoning. So again, if it's an error of reasoning, it just means that I created an invalid argument by mistake. I didn't mean to do it. Like I gave some wrong data or I gave the wrong statistic. Like what I just said about New York. If you look it up and you like, yo, it wasn't more babies born aborted than born in New York in 2013 or 14, Jermaine was wrong. That would mean that's an error in reasoning, right? That would mean I gave you incorrect information, and you should feel free to hit me up, DM me or email me or leave a comment and tell me that I was wrong and share the right data, right? And then I would have to relook at it and say, oh, wait a minute, it was 2015, whatever it is, right? But that would be an error of reasoning. A trick of reasoning would be if I was to purposely leave out or change information or add a word like the serpent did, you will not surely die, in order to manipulate my audience. This is very, very tricky. A trick of reasoning. All right, so let's keep it going. This is important. Whether a fallacy is an error or a trick, whether it's formal or informal, its use undercuts the validity and soundness of any argument. At the same time, fallacious reasoning can damage the credibility of the speaker, writer, and improperly manipulate the emotions of the audience or reader. Whether a fallacy is an error or it's a trick, formal and informal is just simply a formal fallacy means the form of the argument is incorrect, right? Like the structure of it, meaning that your conclusion, you have a premise, and we're going to look at an example real quick, but you have two premises and the conclusion is just completely off the rails. An informal fallacy means the content is incorrect. The substance of it, right? So again, that would mean if I gave you incorrect data, that would mean that was an informal fallacy. At the end of the day, the premise might be set up properly for a proper conclusion, but the content in it makes it informal because I gave you false information. If the enemy gives you false data and false information, it's an informal fallacy. If the enemy structures something incorrectly, twists words, or to deceive you, that's a formal fallacy, right? These are just ways to think through reasoning. All right, so when you think about a formal fallacy, here's an example, right? Most formal fallacies are errors of logic. The conclusion doesn't really follow form. It's not supported by the premises. Either the premises are untrue or the argument is invalid. And here's an example. Premise 1, all black bears are omnivores. Premise 2, all raccoons are omnivores. So here's the conclusion. All raccoons are black bears. Now, we know that that's not true. Now, again, when we talk about fallacies and these invalid reasonings, when someone gives a premise and then they give another premise and they jump to a conclusion that has nothing to do with either premise, or it's just incorrect, right? All black bears are omnivores. All raccoons are omnivores. Then the conclusion, that doesn't make you the lead, well, all raccoons are black bears. No, that's invalid reasoning. But if you only have somebody's attention for 15 seconds, you might be able to make them believe that. Do you know? I want you on your own to look through your timeline tonight after this video and tell me how many formal or informal fallacies you see, whether it be a meme. I saw some the other day. I actually saw AOC posted a post. AOC, if you don't know AOC, this is one of the major politicians that's pushing socialism. She has like 18, don't get me. She has millions of followers on Twitter and Instagram. And AOC says something really tricky. She said, I have it on my phone, but I didn't put it in this presentation. She said something to the effect, right? Don't quote me on this, but she said forced pregnancies are something against humanity. And she was talking about the Roe v. Wade thing. But she said something interesting, forced pregnancies. And I thought, wow, that would imply, again, whether I'm not here to tell you whether agree or disagree. I'm just pointing out some of the messaging and things that I critically think through when I see it. Maybe I want to agree with AOC and I'm giving her a chance to say, let me read and see what AOC is saying. But when someone says forced pregnancies are, and don't quote ... It was like something to say that's an act against humanity or something like that. Well, a forced pregnancy, we're talking about logical. If I told you someone forced someone to get pregnant, then that would mean that that they forced them to have intercourse. Like, that's not the same. A forced pregnancy. See, if you wanted to technically be right with the point she was trying to make, she would have said a forced birth. But she understands that in order to have a greater impact, to stay on the surface, to win over people's hearts, you have to use certain messaging and terminology. So you would say forced pregnancy. Well, that's a fallacy. We're only talking logic. People, there's no law that's forcing you to get pregnant. Like, if you are not pregnant right now, right? If you're not pregnant and you have no intention to get pregnant, there's no law going around that says, hey, you that doesn't have a baby, doesn't want to have intercourse or doesn't want to have unprotected, whatever it may be. You know, this is a family show. Hey, I'm going to force you to get pregnant. See, that is just invalid reasoning. And that's what I'm talking about today. I'm not trying to lead the witness and make you agree or disagree with me. You can go in through the reasoning yourself. But what I am saying is that there's a lot of invalid reasoning and people's hearts are being won over to the enemy. And here's the thing I'll say. If you're going to go to either team, whatever team you're going to go on, right? Whatever side of politics and all that you're going to go on, wouldn't you prefer to have logically reasoned and critically thought through and really believe the side that you on versus having been tricked to be on the side that you on? See, I don't have a problem with people on any side of politics or anything like that. You can kind of do what you want to do. That's what I love about being in America, is that you have the right to disagree with me and I shouldn't harm you. I shouldn't be disrespectful to you or anything. But that also goes the other way around. Just like people could come on the internet and they could share why they're for something, I should be able to share my perspective, right? Just like people at work can say how they feel, I should be able to say how I feel. But we're creating an environment in the world today where in order to destroy God's traditional values and families and the doctrines of the Bible, the enemy wants you to be invalid in your critical thinking, illogical. He wants you to jump to conclusions that don't support a premise. He wants you to just utter things that are not the truth, but they sound good. People rally and protest for things that are invalid logically, and that's scary. That's a really scary thing. Let's see what Christian Palmer says. Oh, reminds you of how to look, Christian. I'm gonna be honest. I saw the Creflo Dollar thing. That's a good example, right? I saw that it's being talked about. I haven't watched what Creflo said. I think I watched the first 5 seconds and I got tired. But that is a great example, right? These things are coming on the internet every day. There'll be something tomorrow. There'll be something to go in an uproar about tomorrow. And that's the thing you have to understand about the 24-hour news cycle and the unlimited access that the internet provides us, which can be really good, but it's also really challenging. Again, when I look around the world and I see people who are emotionally challenged and we talk about mental health so much, also ask myself critically, well, what's causing the increase in the need for mental health and awareness? It might be the fact that we are consuming so much information at a rate faster than any other generation in human history. And we need to sit back and be honest about that and realize that my grandma didn't have to worry about the news in Texas. She was just in Detroit. Like, she didn't have to worry about the news in a whole different country. That's a lot for us to bear. So just something to think about. All right, let's jump into this. Let's go back. So what else we got? Oh, man, I love this one. So one of the things that I genuinely believe that the enemy does to win over our hearts is he uses people that we love. So if you know about a parasocial relationship, a parasocial is a relationship is a one-sided relationship. So think about celebrities. We're going to use an example today, The Rock. That's just an example. Nothing that I'm saying is to bash The Rock or kind of tarnish his name or something. We're just looking at an article that was written around how much money he makes um, to post on Instagram, right? So again, this isn't to talk derogative about him, but I'm using the example like The Rock. You know The Rock. I know The Rock. The Rock don't know you. The Rock wouldn't know you from a can of paint. He definitely doesn't know me, right? That's a parasocial one-sided relationship. Now, I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but it's something to critically think through and understand the dynamics of a one-sided relationship. When you genuinely think you know a person that doesn't even know you exist on earth, that's a challenging and interesting dynamic. Again, very interesting that I know The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? There are times when you have parasocial relationships, you even think you know the person because of how you watch them act over you. Like, I think I know Denzel Washington. I feel like if I was in a conversation with Denzel, I feel like I know how it would go because I think I know Denzel. Denzel don't know me. And I probably listen, Denzel might be told I'll give you this example. You ever met a celebrity in real life that you only used to see on TV and they was an idiot? You ever met an idiot before? And you was like, man, I'm surprised that person is an idiot. Well, the reason is because you don't know them. Anybody can, not anybody literally, but a great actor can act. That's what they act. That's what they do. So sometimes I feel like when I'm watching an actor in an interview, how I know he ain't acting. Man, I don't trust Denzel, Tom Cruise, or Will Smith in an interview because these guys are captivating, compelling, smart, articulate. But I'm like, man, like how I know he ain't just in a role right now. I don't know Denzel. That's not his fault. But the point I'm making is the enemy uses the parasocial relationships and our love and affinity for celebrities to control the messaging. When you look at most of the messaging in the world today, it's driven by celebrities, it's driven by marketing and branding and things like that. Actually, I did an episode that I'm going to reference. Episode 34 is entitled Marketing is Mind Control. I advise you to go and look up that episode if you haven't heard it. And I go in depth about how marketing, I have a marketing degree, by the way. I work in sales and marketing and have been for 15 years. And so, like, I understand a little something about marketing and how it works. And it is ultimately a mind control tool. Although that sounds a little harsh, it's not always intended to be that harsh, but that's just the factual results once you, again, sit back and logically think through what marketing is. Why does a commercial for Reese cups come on the TV and make this Reese cup look tantalizing to me? Because it's trying to control my behavior. They want me to act on it and go and get up and buy a Reese cup, which I'm probably going to do after this show because that's one of my favorite pieces of candy. So they're trying to control me. They want to control my behavior. That's what marketing does. When you take a celebrity and put them as the voice of a message, it gives the trust for the celebrity to the message itself. So again, you might not trust Inspire God's People, the podcast, but if Denzel Washington came on Instagram tomorrow and said, when I want to hear the truth, I listen to Inspire God's People, the podcast. Okay. Okay. Like if he said that, then all of a sudden, because you trust Denzel, whom you don't know through this parasocial relationship, you would then in turn now trust me in this show. And we see those levels of marketing and endorsements and trust being pushed on the people and transferred every single day. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's bad, but I am saying you should be aware of the fact that, like, yo, if just because The Rock is an expert at working out, like if he shares his political views or his views on some topic, like, why does it matter? He's not an expert on that view. But again, because you trust him, we get to the point where we want celebrities to speak out. I think they have the freedom to speak out, but I don't need them to speak out for me to believe anything. It's like, hey, bro, you a good actor. I wouldn't care what you thought about, some political policy. It doesn't matter to me. You're not an expert in that field. But again, let's jump into it. All right, so The Rock, man. This is you won't believe, this is a Yahoo Sports article through Afrotech, and this is from July 4th. This is from yesterday. So you can kind of see all the sources there. You won't believe how much Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson reportedly makes per Instagram post. All right. How much does The Rock get paid for an Instagram post? According to Hopper HQ, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson makes, drum roll please, $1.7 million per sponsored post on Instagram, making him the 6th highest paid celebrity on the platform. The outlet confirms that as of this writing, he has more than 325 million followers on Instagram. Olivia Jones, what's up? Ironic you're talking about marketing and mind control. I've been practicing minimalism for the past 6 years. And for the past 3 months, I've been reducing my carbon footprint on this planet because I believe in the green theory and living in a sustainable life. Can't wait to chat with you about this summer. Yo, what up? Thank you so much, Auntie. Appreciate you sharing that. That's a good example, right? You have this, that's a dope comment because you talk about this factor like, someone who believes in the green theory, right? And reducing their carbon footprint and having a minimal lifestyle. I applaud that from the standpoint of like, again, marketing causes us just to have clutter, to buy more, to spend. And we don't even know why we spend it sometimes. It's like, yo, why do I just upgraded my phone 6 months ago. What, this one, you could drop it in the toilet. Now I got to get another phone. Everything else is the same. Again, that's just understanding. What I like about what you're saying is what I'm a fan of is you being in control of your behavior and us all being in control of the decisions we make and being aware of the influences around us. Now, again, we're emotional human beings and creatures. Things will influence us. It's not that influence is bad. Is that you want to make sure that you're being influenced by the right things, by the right people. All right, so look, let's peep this out. Let's peep this. 1.7 million in Instagram posts. It says there's only one other black celebrity on that so-called Instagram rich list, and that is none other than Beyonce, who comes in at number 8 and makes 1.3 million per Instagram post. So let's talk about The Rock. Let's talk about Beyonce just a little bit. The Rock. Let me just say this. Hey, I'm going to make a post on Instagram tonight, and I'm going to get nothing, okay? And you know what? I've earned nothing, by the way. I've earned that right. I'm not mad at The Rock. I love capitalism. I applaud the fact that you could position yourself as an influencer to be paid $1.7 million just to post something on Instagram. But with that said, what that also allows me to see is I know that you have the potential then to make a biased post. And this is where it gets interesting. If someone paid you $1.7 million tonight to post a pair of shoes on Instagram that you genuinely believe are ugly and uncomfortable, but they ask you to post yourself in a picture saying these are beautiful, comfortable shoes, I want to ask you a serious question, and I want you to tell the truth. And if you're watching this right now live, I want you to put it in the comments. If you want to replay later, put it in the comments. Would you accept the $1.7 million to lie about the style and comfort of a pair of shoes? I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Here's the thing. Most of us are going to take that $1.7 million, right? And we're going to tell people that these ugly shoes are cute and that they comfortable. Now, what that would also mean is that if we have 300 million followers, we have just told 300 million people that we think these shoes are cute. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not even mad at you because you're making the 1.7 million. But if I know you making 1.7 million in Instagram posts, I am going to critically think and reason for myself through everything possibly that you say, because I know and understand that you just might have a little bit of bias. Thank you. Olivia Jones say, no, I love it. A little bit of integrity. No, I still must answer to God. My great can't do it, but I would be mad about look, let's be real. I love that last part you said, but I would be mad about it because that's the reality of it, right? But the thing that's challenging is, remember, we don't know celebrities. We don't truly know them. We don't truly know their character. So is it possible when a person is making $1 million to post something on Instagram that they might twist it up a little bit? They might add a little fallacy. They might do it as an error of reasoning and not even a trick of reasoning. But my point is, we sometimes blindly put our trust in people that we don't know on any level, and they don't even know we exist. Let's see. Quentin Shines Jr., what up? Right. You like those shoes because you getting paid a whole lot of. That's my whole thing. That's my whole thing. Thank you, Jackie, for the heart. Oh man. Crazy, right? You like those shoes. All right. So here's I'm about to wrap it up. This is one of the last things I want to talk about. This is from Psychology Today. This is a pretty old article. I think that says 2011. I don't remember. The Lure of Celebrity and Endorsements. So this is by Susan Cross Whitburn. Fight the urge to look like the latest trendsetters. So this article, one of the things I like to do when I'm critically reasoning through things is I like to go and look at, things like, people always talk about the science. So I like to look at psychology. I like to look at science. But I like to try to look at articles from an unbiased time. For instance, when I don't even want to get into the topics and things, but if there's a trendy topic going on in the world today, I don't go look at the articles that were written today. I go and look at the articles that were written 10 years ago, 5 years ago, because I want to know what were people saying when they had nothing to gain from saying it. That's just how I think. You might have a whole different approach. But when I really want to know something about a topic, I go look at what was the science saying 10 years ago? What were people thinking about this topic? Because again, one of the things in the world today is the topics change so fast, I can't keep up with them. The junk is happening quick than a mud. It's like, wow, every time I look up, there's something new we got to protest, something new we got to be mad about. I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm not even mad. And then I get up in the morning and y'all tell me to be mad. And it's like, oh, we got to be mad today. We got to protest this or that, because it's like, wow, I don't know. They said it. They said we got to do it. And that's how some of us literally are. Let's see what Jackie is saying right here. Steve Harvey, been divorced 18 times, wrote a book, made a movie, had a talk show about relationships. You know what? And you said, in no degree. Listen. More power to you, Steve. I'm not mad at you. But I think that's a great example of how we blindly follow information that we haven't vetted, that we haven't even reasoned or critically thought through. We haven't you should always be poking holes at information that's being pushed your way. You should do that with this show. Go and read and research this stuff. That would be the biggest compliment to me, is that you actually went and go and research some of this stuff for yourself. So the lure of celebrity endorsements. So there's just these 5 things we want to talk about. How can you resist the inner lure of celebrity endorsements? Here are 5 tips. 5 tips, right? So 1, realize when you're being lured. Don't be drawn into celebrity marketing, the famous faces that adorn ads ranging from cars to makeup to draw your emotional reactions. The more you know about your brain, how your brain reacts, the better you can resist the attempts by marketers to influence your buying decisions. This ain't me talking. This is a PhD, Susan Whitburn, telling you that you have to be aware of when you're being lured. Remember I said earlier, one of the biggest problems is that because we're living on the surface, we're not actually taking the time to critically think and reason. So we're being fooled and the devil is winning over our hearts and we don't even know he won it. There are some of us that actually think we are standing on the word of God and we're standing on the word of the devil. And that's a dangerous place to be. Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate all the listeners. Look, man, would y'all please share it? Tell somebody about it. Appreciate y'all commenting and liking it. Also, subscribe on YouTube, please. Inspire Guys people on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, check it out. Go look at some of the old videos and look at Apple Podcasts, Inspire Guys people. Got over 185 episodes for you to check out with this type of information and more. Got interviews, all that great stuff. Let's look at the second thing. Don't confuse fame with expertise. Trusted stars such as Sam Waterston, who helped sell TD Ameritrade, aren't really financial planners. You may have liked him on Law and Order, but would you really trust him with your hard-earned savings? Again, this isn't this isn't a knock on endorsements, but this is just understanding what endorsements and things mean. A person is paid millions of dollars to say support a product. Now, in defense of them, right, here's another way to look at it. If the person who is being paid, the actor or celebrity, has integrity themselves, then it is okay. They're going to vet a company. They're going to make sure it's a company that they support. They're going to make sure it's a company they believe in. Then they're going to take the multi-million-dollar check. There's nothing wrong with that. So I don't want you to think I'm bashing endorsements and marketing, but I'm also just saying you should be critically thinking through and understanding when your favorite politician goes around hugging and kissing babies and the election comes around and they get some celebrities to speak on their behalf. That celebrity may not be an expert. Look, you might have been a great actor, but are you an expert on these political and social issues that are important to me, that I want to get them right? I don't want to just be emotional about things for sake of being emotional. I want to have the right results. I want to be on the right side of history. I want to critically think through. And by all means, and this is as a Black person, I'm speaking now, right? And this is really important to me, what I'm about to say. And one of the things that drive me to talk how I'm talking now and put out this type of information is that we talk about slavery. We talk about injustice. We talk about all these things. And then we enslave each other. We don't want each other to be free, because as Black people, sometimes in our community, we put all the pressure to follow the community. No, I'm free. If I'm free and you free, we ain't always going to be on the same side of every argument, every debate, or every issue. And that's what freedom is. Do you know that when the Blacks were set free, since we just had Juneteenth that passed recently, there was something called the Freedmen's Bureau and the Black codes. These were laws that were specifically created for the newly freed African-American slaves. And the reason that these laws were created was that the non-Blacks, if you will, feared Black people who were enslaved now being free. They feared the freedom of Black people. So they created laws so that Black people who were free could still not be free, to hinder them, to handcuff them. This ain't conspiracy. So what I'm saying is, I don't take that lightly. That's why I take freedom seriously. And I say, like, no, don't be afraid of my freedom. Even my Black brother, my Black sister, my neighbor, my cousin, my friend. No, I'm not afraid of your freedom. I like you being able to critically think and reason for yourself. Look at you. Go ahead with your smart self. Even if we disagree, go ahead, do what you're doing, player. I see you. I feel you. Like, do that. Like, believe that, whatever you want to do. But by all means, don't handcuff me. Don't create new Black codes created by Black people to hold Black people back. See, a lot of people talk all this Black stuff. You don't hear me talking all that stuff in some socially driven way to get a lot of attention. But I believe it in a real way. I've read these books by former slaves like Booker T. Washington and Frederick Douglass. I know the work that they've done. I've seen the path that they created, the trail that they blazed. And these people were people that believed in freedom. So be careful the next time you want to silence your brother and sister. Now, look, I feel that way about Americans, period. But I'm specifically talking to the people who get so caught up into the emotional aspect of the race issue and allow the devil to win over their hearts. And then you end up pushing an agenda and a narrative that does nothing but keep you enslaved anyway. Like, no, dude, Black is limitless. Like, look, we too quick to call everybody a coon or a sellout who has a different perspective of us. I'm gonna give you an example. I watch people. I literally watched this with my own eyes when Ben Carson got into politics. Dr. Ben Carson, he's from Detroit. You feel what I'm saying? He got a school in Detroit. Ben Carson, I never heard a bad thing about him until he openly became a Republican. And then I saw Black people sharing pictures of him and his wife next to Obama and calling him and his wife ugly. I'm like, y'all wilding. I don't care if you disagree with his politics. You don't ever take a successful Black man like Ben Carson, who's one of the greatest doctors on the planet, a neurosurgeon. You don't take somebody at that level and degrade him because he disagrees with you. You're not really for the culture if you're doing that. If everybody who disagree with you is a sellout, you the sellout. You the one that ain't critically reasoned through. You're the one who ain't actually thought about what's being said. Jay-Z and Beyonce said vote this way, so you just voted. You not real. That ain't keeping it real. You not authentic. You ain't thorough. You ain't keeping it 100. I don't care where you from. That's not real. If you really care about this stuff, you're going to critically reason through. So you could be on the right side of history, but you're not going to take another black man and somebody uncle, somebody grandma, that's somebody family. They from the hood. They from Detroit. What is wrong with you? That man grew up in the gutter. He was getting into fights all the time. His mama started making him read books. He turned himself into one of the greatest doctors in the world. I wouldn't care if I disagree with his politics or not. I'm going to celebrate that. And too many of us falling into the trap, but we talk the bliggity black stuff. Everybody talk that stuff. I don't talk all that stuff in a divisive way. I talk it as being proud of my culture, being proud of where I'm from. But I want to see all people. Look, I talk about being united by faith all the time. But I'm just calling out the people who talk this black stuff and they talk it so fake, like so fake. Some of us talk more than we do. We talk all that stuff, then we go somewhere and don't even leave a good tip. Come on, man. Don't play with me, dude. I don't allow people to push me into a corner, all that stuff. Like I went to a black-owned restaurant today and left old girl a 40% tip. Like that's what I believe in. I don't just like anybody could talk all this stuff, supporting the community. I was in the hood, I was on 7 Mile, I was at the restaurant. Service wasn't the best ever, but I still left her a tip because she worked hard. You feel me? I'm sorry, y'all get me going, man. Thank you, Auntie. Y'all get me going, man. I can't even handle this stuff. Let's see what's next. Number 3, before you make a purchasing decision, turn off your emotions. Our impulse purchases are usually the ones that get us in trouble. Make your own buying decisions on solid, objective grounds. Before you make a purchasing decision, turn off your emotions. Now, some of us got a huge problem with that. Look, man, it's some of us walking around in Gucci, and if we wanted to be honest, our lights is off. We don't have a good couch. Our kids ain't in the best school. Like, we so emotional. We want to stunt. We want to prove. Listen, stop buying stuff to prove to people that you are something and be something. That's my philosophy. I'll just be something. I don't got to prove nothing. I don't got to drive nothing to prove it to you. I don't got to wear nothing to prove it to you. I'ma just be it. See, can't nobody change. Look, when you're not really that, when you really ain't that, you got to talk. You got that, and that, you got to get all emotional. I made a post recently that was like, people get super emotional and mad with their responses because they don't have a logical or an intelligent response. They haven't thought about it. They don't even actually know what they think. They only know how they feel. And some of us are walking through life completely being led by our feelings. We don't even know what we think because we haven't thought about it, but we know we feel. So we make every decision on what we feel. We drive what we feel. We wear what we feel. Like we wear designer clothes because, again, a celebrity wore it. Listen, I can't afford the clothes Jay-Z wear. I wouldn't care, man. I wouldn't care what kind of shoes he got on. I can't afford it. I'm not a billionaire based on my assets, based on what Forbes said about Jay-Z. They say he a billionaire. Listen, I shouldn't be dressing like him unless he bringing it down 1,000 because I'm nowhere near a billionaire. So some of us, again, we're so emotional. We watch people on TV. We want to be like them. We want to act like them. We getting the surgeries they getting. It's like, yo, wait a doggone minute. Like, I can't afford that. I can't afford to get a calf injection to make myself 2 inches taller. I'm sorry, I can't afford that. I don't care who if you got the ab, you a celebrity and you done paid $50,000 to get abs. Listen, man, more power to you. Enjoy yourself at the beach, but I can't get it. Listen, we got to live in reality. Turn your emotions off. Stop trying to be something fake for people. It's like everything is so fake. I don't know what's real. I don't know who's real. I don't know who's a spam bot. Some of us act like real life human spam bots. We got to stop doing that and be people, man. We got to be people. I ain't got nothing to prove. Quentin, you feel me, fam? Thank you, Liz. Like we gotta chill with that, man. All right, let's finish this out. Number 4, do your own research in the products. I think that's pretty simple. You feel what I'm saying? Like, look, man, doing your own research will get you really far in life. It doesn't mean if you do your own research and I do my own research that we're gonna land at the same conclusion. But you could feel a lot more comfortable about the conclusion that you land at when you know why you landed there. There are people sometimes that feel a certain way about things, and they only feel that way because somebody on the news or Instagram or social media told them to feel that way. which means they don't actually know how they truly, genuinely feel or what they think. They've only been told to be mad about things. I've seen this. I've seen it the past couple of years. I've seen people be genuinely mad about things only because somebody told them to be mad. People get mad about news stories. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be mad, but they get mad about, I'll give you an example. I'm only sharing what perplexes me, right? I'm not criticizing anybody for feeling how they feel, but it perplexes me logically. People will be in an uproar about a news story that happens 600 miles from them in a state that they've never visited. Their local news will have the same things happening and they're not mad. That blows me away. How can you be more upset about the national news and bat your eye and ignore the local news that's happening in your community? That's just like, for me, that blows me away. If you're truly passionate about something, if you truly care about a topic, which there are people out there that do, like I know there are people out there who care about these topics and care about doing things. Look, my cousin, Curtis Bethany III, I think it's this Saturday down in Newport News, Virginia. He doing a dope cookout. I'm going to be real with you. I was thinking about just flying down there this weekend, and I started looking at these flights this week. I'm like, dang, it costs a lot of money to fly down to Newport News. I was gonna just pop up on Cuzzo and hit the cookout, man. And I'm like, man, I was looking at them flights this morning like it's crazy. But my point is, you have people like that who are out there. Some of y'all are out here. I want to show love to the people who really doing it and who really putting in work. But I just get tired of people who talking and they don't really mean it. They fake mad. Stop being fake mad. Being mad or passionate, it ain't about what you do in front of the camera. It's about what you do when these cameras off. You don't look, some stuff that I'm doing, man, I don't even have time to record it. Like I could be so busy. I'm like, oh, I never recorded that, but I did it. We got it backwards. We trying to prove we did something by recording it. Just do it. If you record it, cool. If you don't, cool. You still did it. Doing it matters more than recording it. Let's see what else Quentin says. In my opinion, what a person doesn't get mad about compared to what they do get mad about says a lot about them as a person. I ain't mad at that at all. I ain't mad at that at all. All right, so number 5, last one, y'all. Be wary in stores at your point of purchase. Pictures of celebrities aren't limited to ads. As you're making your buying decisions, look around and see whether or not a product you're about to buy was paired with the celebrity face somewhere in the actual store or even the product itself. Psychology can help save you money and make the wise purchasing decisions as long as you use your brain wisely. Resist emotional advertising even as it threatens to permeate your cortex. Woo! Don't let it permeate your cortex, fam. Look, y'all, this is just the kind of stuff I like to talk about, like to think about, and like to encourage others to do so as well. Reading articles from PhDs like Susan Whitborn in Psychology Today, reading through the Bible. We read through Genesis chapter 3 and also looked at some articles in Yahoo and Afrotech about The Rock and Beyonce making over $1 million to post things on Instagram. These are things I want you to think about. I don't need you to feel about them the way I feel. I'm not projecting my feelings on you. I might have shared some opinions today, but the goal, the win to me is if you go out and you critically think for yourself and you start thinking twice before you just run with something emotionally, and also understand how your brain works, understand how your emotions work. I'm reading a book right now called Emotional Intelligence because I want to understand how these things work. I've read things like Switch on Your Brain because I want to understand how my brain works from neuropathologists and the things they've studied and that they've looked at in the brain, because when you understand these things about yourself, you can also be on guard a little better to be like, yo, wait a minute, I'm allowing my emotions to get out of attack, or so on and so forth. And of course, again, being led by the Bible is super important to have a spiritual, biblical foundation and understand what God's intention was for his word so that the enemy doesn't come back to you and twist up his word. And I should have put the scripture in there when Satan went and took Jesus to the mountain, because Satan even twisted up the word talking to Jesus, who is the word. He has no boundaries. Don't let the devil win your heart with fallacies, with invalid reasoning, with emotional tactics and things to keep you on the surface, or with their famous, beautiful, lovely celebrity faces that you don't know these people. And I'm not saying that means they're bad people. That's not the conclusion I'm coming to. But because you don't know them, you should not automatically trust them with certain intimate and real topics. And I think so much of life today is about a marketing campaign, a commercial. You could put music behind anything. I'm telling you right now, I might put a bar of soap in the sink today on Instagram and put some violin music behind it, and you might feel sorry for the soap losing its life in the water. The point I'm making is be careful, man, and be real about and be authentic about what you believe. And also be careful about how you disagree with other people, treating people bad. Violence is definitely a no. All this emotional name calling. I see more adults bullying than I ever seen kids bullying when I was in school. I see more adults trying to apply peer pressure than I ever experienced when I was in school. And those things don't come with logic. It's just people forcing you to believe what they believe and pressuring you. And we ain't giving into that because this is America, at least where I'm at. You might be watching this anywhere in the world. I believe in freedom. I believe in love. I believe in people. I believe in God. And I hope you enjoyed this show. Please share it, comment, all that stuff. Check us out on YouTube, Inspire God's People. Look, man, I think we've been doing this a month or so. I think I'm up to 148, 145 subscribers. Let's get to 150. Where the two people at? Well, is there one? Is it you? You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the process, man. Whether 5 people or 5,000 people see this video, I appreciate you being one of those people. And I appreciate you rocking with me and supporting this content because I think it's important that we get real relevant content out there. This ain't surface level. I know I like to dig deep. You know what I'm saying? I like to wax poetic and go deep with you because I'm just not a person. I would rather go deeper with 5 people than to go wider with and stay on the surface with 1 million people. I don't need 1 million people to see my video if it doesn't change anything, if it doesn't touch anybody. But if 5 people see this and this touch your heart and this leads you to your purpose, which is ultimately what we're trying to do with Inspire God's People with the content we're creating. We got much more content like this coming. We got Millionaire Mindset, Financial Academy coming. I've got more interviews, all that stuff. So look, thank y'all. God bless y'all. I love y'all. I got to get out of here, man. This has been an amazing time. And I hope you